I am back in my classroom again, same room, nobody's here. And I have, I'm doing, I think this will be my final tactical tutorial before the WTC, because I don't think I'll have much time from now on and in. And this is about truck tactics. I wanted to talk about how I use my trucks and how I've seen trucks being used and the different ideas that I think has come up so far. Some of these moves are decidedly non-friendly moves and very competitive moves. Some of them are dig moves that I would not recommend, and I'm going to point those out to you when they do crop up, but they are on my whiteboard behind me, simply because they are tactics that you can employ. So, and I'm going to start with the main idea of transports in the game of Bold Action. Transports are there to transport troops. In tank platoons, you have to have transportation for everyone, which means that you basically, what you want to do with your transports is, because they are priced, points value, they are priced by the number of transport berths they can take, so how many people can actually be in that truck. That is how they're price set. So what you want to do is you want to pick the right truck for your units. That's the first thing in list building, right? You want to pick the right size so that you minimize how many points you're wasting on empty seats, basically, in the transport. So what do you use that for? Well, you use it for as a troop delivery system, and not all troops are really suited for that delivery. Most often that delivery system is a form of delivery system where you send up something that is really killy. Because the non-killy units, you don't need delivery systems for those. So why take them? I mean, they will make your units more vulnerable. So what typically happens is when you have that troop delivery system is you have, I've made a little drawing over here. So you have somewhere where you want your transport to go. Typically down in your DC, you are safe. Maybe you're behind some woods or some other cover, or you're coming in straight from upflank or from first wave, so you're coming out from the board edges. So what you want to do is you want to drive your transport up and into where they need to go. Now, if you're only moving 12, you can deliver your troops right then and there into that area. But if you are moving above 12 with your truck, if you're moving at a run, that delivery system will be a 2-turn delivery system where you're moving up the first turn and you need to make sure that you are totally safe there. Because otherwise people will shoot you and kill you and your truck will do nothing. So, if you deliver your troops, you have a few options from there. If you don't have any offensive system on your truck, no MMG, no pintle mounted, then the typical thing you will see people do is that they'll turn the truck around, which means that one of the things that you need to take notice of is not to drive too close to the area terrain. Because if you do that, your edge when you're turning will go into the area terrain because you're going to turn on the middle of the truck. So don't drive all the way up to any terrain with a truck. Keep a little bit of distance so that you can turn it. So what you do is you turn all the way around and you go back the way you came, back to safety in your deployment zone. Otherwise, if you do have an MMG, what people will tend to do is they will find somewhere to run out that truck and start delivering supporting fire. Works perfectly well. Now, if you have a 2-turn delivery system where you move up at a run or whatever, and you need to get closer to the enemy, the second turn will typically be where you move in a non-straight line. You're moving out from the cover that you're behind, and you're moving out so that you can deploy your troops. Often they're engineers or some kind of like hard unit, some kind of Death Star type unit. Although there are no real true Death Stars in Bold Action, you can have some units that really can dish out damage, right? So that is what you'll see. You'll move the truck up at an attack run. which is basically the same tactic as you're using when you have engineers and flamethrowers. It's the same thing, right? You're running your truck up, you're getting your guys out, and they will shoot stuff. The danger here being if the enemy is on ambush, don't drive into that ambush, stay behind cover, or at least give them a few pins before if you can. So yeah, that is the delivery system. That is the troop delivery system. That is the most basic thing that you do with your trucks, but there are a lot more things that you can do. So some of the tactics that I want to talk about is objective contesting. Now, a truck that has somebody in it, most tournaments and the way the rules are written, that can drive up and contest an objective. So a good idea to have is trucks with a few guys in them that point at the direction of an objective. And then on the last turn, if you can't actually take the objective, you can at least push that up and contest the objective. So getting ready for that last turn rush where you push up and you contest an objective, that has won me games. You can also use it as backline dagger. You can, even if you don't have transport systems where you sort of deliver your troops, you can sometimes just have a transport. If you are going to a tournament, it's not always that you actually want your troops to stay in that transport at the start of the game. Sometimes you're just dividing them up. So a transport that just stays in the back lines in your DC with that 36-inch range from the MMG, that is a perfectly good dagger unit. It's quite often much cheaper and much better than a team weapon MMG because it's not fixed. It's movable. It can move out if it's in danger or whatever. So backline dagger is a really good use of transport. And then the final thing that you're going to have to consider is the parking lot idea, which is where do I want my transports to go? And that is specifically, oh, sorry about that. After you've delivered your troops, you're going to have a safe parking lot somewhere to retreat to. So that parking lot mentality I have down here, right? That is one of the delivery systems. For me, that's quite often behind something that's line of sight blocking, because if I don't run my transports with MMGs, they are useless after they have delivered their systems. And you're going to need to pull them back, if you possibly can, to the parking lot in your DC. Why? Because otherwise they are points that the opponent takes. Yes, you might not be playing a kill point mission, but in a tournament, most typically, those kill points will matter. So don't do that. Then that was the troop delivery and the ideas that you can have with that. Now I'm going to go into some ways that you can use your transport to win games. We have 3 tactics to go by here, and 2 of them are specific for certain missions, and the last one is more generic, but still has certain mission requirements. So the first one is the backline rush. Now, if you're playing envelopment or double envelopment, you can do this. You can load up a truck, you can run it 24 inches in, and if you have a straight line, that truck, if you get the first dice next turn and the opponent is not on ambush, can run straight out. 24 inches, because in envelopment and in double envelopment, you only have to touch the edge. So you can get your transport to run out in 2 turns if you get the first die. So this is a bit dependent on getting the first die. If you don't get the first die, the opponent will stop you and will take kill points from you. So it's a bit of a risk. Most of the times when I try this, it does not work out. But I have tried it where it did work out. You can load up, for instance, I loaded up a large truck with 2 lieutenants and a small team and just ran them out. That was 4 dice I got out on 1 move. So that won me the game. So that is the backline rush tactics. It really needs to be the right scenario. It needs to be envelopment or double envelopment. And it also needs that rule where you only have to touch the edge and then you need to be able to get the first dice. So being ahead on dice is good. Then there's the parking lot points. That is something you do when you're playing, for instance, sectors, like scenarios where you get points for just being at a certain place. What I'll typically do is I'll place my trucks so that they can easily move into that place, either from reserve or from my DC with as much of a clear line as possible. And then create a parking lot where I have whatever trucks I have. That can be anywhere between 1 and 4. And 1 lieutenant, just to keep them alive, because trucks, they tend to die if the enemy is closer, right? So I need somebody to stay with the trucks. That's typically one of my useless lieutenants. So that is a parking lot points, because you're parking them in an area where you're scoring points. The final one here is the castle, and many players consider this a dick move, and many tournaments will disallow it. The idea is, when you have objective scenarios, you can take your trucks and you can push them around the objective. So let me draw this up. So you can have like an objective here, right? And then what you can do is you can place your trucks in a formation around that objective, like that, and then place 1 lone second lieutenant or whatever have you in that castle. Now, the opponent can hardly get in there. That is almost impossible, because if they shoot the truck, that truck becomes an impassable obstacle, hard cover. If they shoot at the lieutenant, he's in soft cover, small team, going down, 7s. So what are you going to do? Indirect fire actually does work, because if you kill the lieutenant in here, and that lieutenant can't really get out, he can't move 3 inches and more than 3 inches and get out of indirect fire, right? So indirect fire is one thing that works against such a castle here, but otherwise it's really, really difficult, bordering on impossible to get into that objective. This is called a castle. This is a dick move. You should not be that guy. I've been that guy. So, right. Now I have the final round of tactics, and this is called suicide trucks. They're over here. Now, the good thing about bolt action is that it's not real. It's just, we're pushing little minis across a board, so we don't really care if they die. And there are times, especially in objective scenarios or scenarios where kill points doesn't really matter that much, where your trucks are worth more dead than alive. That is the suicide truck tactics. So what you can do is you can do a truck block, which is basically like the castle I told you before. But what you do is you find the places where the opponent can rush out, for instance. If you're playing envelopment or double envelopment, you find the places where the opponent has a straight line and can rush out, especially on roads, and you place your truck there. It might be in the open, doesn't matter. If the opponent shoots it, it becomes a wreck, it becomes impossible, perfect. If he doesn't shoot it, then it blocks the line, so he can't move out. That is a truck block. Another good idea is the tank block. This is again a bit of a dick move, but what you can do is, let's say, I'm going to draw again, the enemy has a tank, right? That tank is moving up and killing your stuff, and you want it to stop just for a few turns. So what you do is you run a truck up and place it 1 inch in front of the tank. What happens now? Next turn, the tank gets its turn. It can kill your truck. Remember though, you need it to stay alive, so you need like something that keeps it alive, like a single man somewhere down there, right? What can the tank do? It can kill your truck. It can ram it. It can shoot it. It can kill it. Yes, no problem. But if it does that, it's wasting 1 turn. If it doesn't do that, it can't actually turn, again, because of the thing with the corners. You're turning that tank over the middle, so the corner will actually get within 1 inch of your truck. You can't do that. So it's not allowed to turn. That tank, now, in order to get out from your truck, it has to retreat. It has to drive backwards 4.5 inches, which is how far tanks can back up, before it can actually do anything. And it can't turn then. So next time, it will have to turn. So it drives back 4.5 inches. Hopefully it kills you, because if it doesn't kill you, you're just following along. You're just pushing your truck up and again blocking it, because then it needs to turn. So you're taking it out of the equation. It can't advance for at least 2 turns. For at least 2 turns. It can't do what it wants to do. That is the tank block. It's a perfectly valid situation. It's stupid. It would never happen in real life. Any tank would just drive over that truck. No problem. But in bold action, that is how the rules actually work. So, again, ahistorical, bit of a dick move. Don't do it against new players or like hobbyists or rivet counters or what have you, casual players. Don't do that. But if you're playing against me, do that. Right? Most of these dick moves are like that, right? You can do them against an experienced tournament player, because they will appreciate what you're doing as a good and valid tactic. Against a new player, that will seem like cheating, so don't do that. Then we have the objective contest by extension. This is a good one as well. This, again, relies on the fact that transports are suicidal. They don't really care that much. Yes, like they take pins, right? But that doesn't matter so much. So, again, you have an objective here. That objective is in danger. Like, the enemy can really get to it, okay? So I want to contest it, but I don't want my lieutenant or my small team to run up and get killed. So what do? Well, I run a truck up. Because that truck, as long as I keep that alive by 1 man, that truck now contests that objective. So even though the enemy might be all over the objective here, as long as I can get within 3 of the center of that objective, that truck extends the range that my lieutenant here can actually contest that objective. That is brilliant. And the truck won't even die, because I have a lieutenant that's closer to it than the rest. That is objective contesting by extension. Brilliant. The final thing that you might want to do, and I do this all the time, is provide yourself with some cover. In the rulebook, it says that any soft-skin vehicles are considered soft cover for the men standing behind them. So what you can do is, you can basically set up your trucks in lines where you need them to go. You might even drive them up and then make a line. And then whatever you have down behind these trucks, be that tanks or infantry, all of that now has soft cover. Brilliant. And it's even mobile cover, unless the enemy shoots you and makes it hard cover. And line of sight blocking, by the way, wrecks are line of sight blocking as well. Unless they do that, you can move these out and be covered somewhere else. It's perfect. If you're not using your trucks, and if you don't care about kill points, use them for cover. Why not? So, that was my Truck Tactics Advanced lesson. I hope you could use it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, although it might be like a few weeks before I do one more of these. So, cheers, bye.